Again, like we discussed in the last segment, people have been convinced, companies all around the country have been convinced that the way of the future is to rely upon the social justice left for monies and income and revenue, even though I don't think this is going to be something that's sustainable and certainly long term. And I do believe the pendulum is going to swing back the other way. And these companies are going to have one or two choices: go down with the ship or change. But the Salvation Army of fucking all people, which is why, look, is what it is. Of all people, as covered by Blaze, Phil Shiver of Blaze, title Salvation Army goes woke with new anti-racist message. Ask white donors to apologize for their unconscious bias. That title alone is like, what the fuck? All right, let's listen or see what's going on. This year, in addition to requesting monetary contribution towards the global mission, the organization is calling on donors to reckon with their deep-sealed attitudes of race. This is the Salvation Army. In a guide titled, Let's Talk About Racism, the charity asks donors to consider the ways in which they have consciously or unconsciously supported prejudicial systems that inflict harm on racial minorities, adding that it acknowledges with regret that the Salvationists have sometimes shared in the sins of racism and conform to economic, organizational, and societal or social pressures, that perpetuate racism. That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Elsewhere in the document, the charity calls on white donors to lament and repent and apologize for biases or racist ideologies held and actions committed. Going forward, the Salvation Army says it hopes white donors will recognize their own contributions to racism and adopt a posture of anti-racism. In the absence of making anti-racist choices, we unconsciously uphold aspects of white supremacy, white dominant culture, and unequal institutions of society, the document states. There's going to have to be, y'all need to understand, when I say everything culturally, I mean absolutely everything. People, understand what I mean when I say that we're going to need a parallel economy. Nothing is off limits. Okay? I believe that these people, and it's sad for something like the Salvation Army, that is something that you think that it's about doing good, and they're not engaging in this nonsense. And let me just say, if you are one of those white people apologizing for being white, you're a fucking loser. Continuing on. It's going to take a parallel, more so economy, and these guys are going to have to be stripped and starved of your money. Okay? The stuff that has existed for as long as we've been alive and sometimes longer, all these institutions that we know and we love and we cherish, to talk about this with the comic book space, they're gone. They've been compromised. The social justice left played the long game. They infiltrated, and now they have control over. The way to combat that isn't to simply gripe, though I think that's a necessary thing, about what it is they're doing. I say mock and shame is a very effective tool, and they should be made fun of, and they should be mocked, and they should be shamed. But on the other side, what we need are alternatives to this. And when I say that, don't think in the sense of just like one particular industry. No, I'm talking about for all of it. There is a big opportunity for a lot of us. Yes, I'm entering in the comic book space. I'm obviously in the music space as well. But not just obviously with entertainment. I'm talking about every industry. We've discussed it with Best Buy in the last segment, right? Now we're talking about with the Salvation Army. There's an opportunity for virtually every single industry for an alternative to creep up, and it's on the customers to be more mindful, particularly people that value liberty, because they depend on you. They cannot simply rely on a social justice left for money. No. They can't do that. They rely on the people that don't value liberty to subsidize them in some way, shape, or form. And the benefit that they've got is that a lot of us who value liberty historically have not cared about that. It's more about, okay, something of merit. I have something, you have a good, you have a service. I want to exchange the money. I value that good of service over the money. You value the money. Bam, voluntary exchange. I don't care about anything else. Well, I don't want to say even in a perfect world, in a more freer world, that would be how most of us would act for virtually most things. But you have to understand what the left did was infiltrate basically everything. And now those are seen as the more legitimate forms of whatever it is in that industry. And they have control of it. So they get to pump out and utilize it as a piggyback to pump out whatever bullshit that they want to put out there. I think it's safe to assume that basically everything is compromised. So now people need to be more mindful of where their dollar is going. And if you can subsidize a good alternative, not just for the sake of an alternative existing. And this is what I always talk about, the creatives in those spaces, the entrepreneurs, the investors. Like, don't just be trying to create an alternative just for the sake of doing it. Like, actually be good at it. You know what I mean? Like, actually have something that is competitive in the marketplace, and don't think that you're owed someone else's support simply because you exist as an alternative. No. How about work on your craft, do everything it is that you can to produce the best possible alternative, and therefore once that comes along, or rather it's again put out there for the public to adopt, well, you know something they can, or you know at least and understand that they can leave whatever it is that they were going to in whatever industry that is. Normally they could go to yours and not lose anything, you know what I mean, in terms of their like quality or whatever it is that they're consuming. So I think it's important that you would be good at it. But on the customer side, and we're all customers, just because I'm a creator doesn't mean that I'm a customer. I buy shit all the time as well. On us to pay more attention, which is what the left did, pay more attention to where our dollars are going so that we are not subsidizing these idiots. And if it becomes a state where we have a parallel economy where the people that value liberty versus the authoritarians on the other side, then fucking so be it. So be it. But either way, you know, you can feel good about not subsidizing people who hate you. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.